You guys have any ideas about routes? Looks like this is it.
Yeah, we're trying to decide on the route. That's Joe Nanga visiting us from Dallas, Texas. Frisco, Texas, actually.
You guys want to do what direction? What are we doing? Oh, we just wing it. So let's roll, man. It's cold enough. Yeah, let's go.
Go out Fish Creek to Taco Corner and then take a reading and see what to do.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
So the plan is to go out to Taco Corner.
Let's warm up.
And then decide what we're going to do. But it's a cool morning. It's almost 10C, thereabouts.
Yeah, 2.5 hours, no more than 3.
That's 9C. So Joe's asking how long the ride would be. I told him it'd be about 3 hours, but we ended up doing a little more. Once we got out there, you will see in a little while we hooked up with Mo, Maurizio, Pepini, and Jerry, all the heavy hitters. So we decided to just go out further out into the forest via a different way, Bethel Road. So we started to roll out here.
The consensus to do something short today, I guess.
Seems
like the consensus is a short ride today.
That's Tim.
Short is relative. About 80 kilometers.
So that's what I was thinking at this moment, that we do about 50 miles and come back. But it ended up changing once we got out there. And, you will see why. But it just ended up being a fair, pleasant day. And Tim and I kind of rolled out because we decided to go, and the guys were just kind of hanging. And I'm like, it's time to go. 7:40 with 10 minutes past the rollout time. There's a car coming to the left, so I just let them know because they're behind. Alan also joined us. He's wearing the team kit. Joe's wearing the team kit. Paul's in the team kit. I'm in the team kit. So there's 4 of us with the Veloharmony colors today. On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton about 6:45 in the morning to go meet Team RR. We knew that there was a rider from the channel, Joe Nanga, joining us there. You can see Doug and Grayshots join us. So Joe is from Dallas. We went up to Fish Creek, rolled into Honie. At this point, the pace was hard. We left Paul. Paul ended up having a flat. You can see Doug goes a different way over there. I go back and I get Paul. We joined the group at the store. After that, we went on Bailey Grove Road into the forest by Bethel Road. The pace picked up. Paul let us go. We hit 149, went back. We got Paul, came down 149 through the forest, back into Montgomery, and we headed back through Mill Route. You will see that Greg shot over there will take a different route back. We came through Honie, back on Fish Creek, and the group split up a bit on the highway coming in. But we got a lot of good action in. Alan was there, and as I said, Joe Nanga from Dallas, a legend on the channel, joined us. It was great having him. We had a good representation of Team Veloharmony on this ride. Hope you all enjoy the clips. It's one of these mornings where it starts out about 10C and then it warms up real quickly. So all I did was wear my base layer and my arm warmers and put a cap on. It was a cool morning. The air was dry. You can see Alan's got his neck covered back there. But I didn't need to take off anything. I took off my knee warmers. Yeah, I'm wearing knee warmers right now. I keep my knees covered as much as possible.
Good, man. Good, yeah. It's supposed to stay cool until about 10:30, 11.
70 degrees, 11.
Yeah.
So when it's cool like that, your neck area, you see where Alan got his scarf on, that's where you want to cover. And he's covering his chin. Because in about an hour or so, it gets a little more comfortable. But for the most part, it stayed very cool until like maybe 11.
Christian was here last week.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Listen, my week.
Yeah, he travels all over the place, so he'll show up now and then.
We wore the team kit because we knew Joe was coming, and I knew Joe was going to bring his kit. He had been in communication with us for a while, letting us know he was coming down. His daughter is attending the local university, the same one I went to, University of Houston. So he's down to visit the campus and other things. And so he just planned to visit us on the bike.
Chapel Hill has slightly longer hills, but the hills we ride, as I've compared the elevation, we have shorter, steeper hills. Yeah, when we go through the forest and stuff like on 149, those hills are hard on 149. You've been out there, 149, yeah, and where's he up? Because they come repeatedly.
What we're talking about is an area called Chapel Hill that has a lot of hills. And our climbs are shorter, but they're steeper. Right there, we see cyclists coming across the road. Ends up being the guys that ride with Mo and them.
Yeah, the character.
The crazy fast guys. That's Jerry. He pulls over to the side to wait on us. He sees us. And I guess he planned to ride with us. But between 7:30 and 8 o'clock in the north side of where we live, you can pick up a group. So that's about when everybody's rolling out. That's Jerry. I greet him.
Hey Jerry, how you doing?
Jerry rides with Mo and them, and some of the riders that he rides with are up the road there. You see the flashing lights up the road. But Jerry decided to hang with us here. And these are the guys that we end up hooking up with. The group just swells. So when we get to the store, quite a few of our guys come back, but we go out and we end up with like 15, 16 riders, I'm estimating. Going out, we ended up doing 70 miles with the group, and then we have an extra 20 when we ride to and fro. So it was a big group that went way out today. It was beautiful. I told Joe to come up. It's Joe Nanga. Joe is a subscriber on the channel and has been a good supporter of the channel.
So when you head back? Tomorrow. Okay.
So Joe's a small guy. Joe's a climber, and you will see when we get out there, Joe can hold his own on the climbs.
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
You know, in the morning she has hunting. She wants to get her hair done and things like that.
Yeah.
He's talking about his daughter's activities while she's here.
So my wife is just...
That's Greg shot over there. That's Maurice going by.
can just sit around
And there's Paul on the right there.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised that Paul did not cover his arms nor his legs, but he said he felt good because usually he runs colder than I do. That's Jerry right there.
That's one of the hammerheads there.
So I'm
That's
telling
another one behind you. Victor, that's Jerry on the left.
I'm telling,
all three of them are hammerheads.
I'm telling Joe who to look out for.
The biggest crest, the main one is behind you. Yeah, don't give him any draft.
I'm telling him not to give Victor a draft.
Right behind you, directly behind you.
Because Victor likes to push the pace. So I said, don't give him a draft.
He's going to be going faster next to him.
That's Mike over there in his green jacket. The thing with the jacket is Mike will have, he ends up opening it up within maybe an hour because it warms up pretty quickly. That's why I don't do a jacket unless it's 10C or less and it's going to stay there. Because with the jackets, you end up taking them off. I'd much rather just wear a base layer and then layer up that way. I bring out the jackets if it's going to stay cold for the entire duration of the ride. So it's tough in these kind of temperatures. But I use jackets that will fold down and go in my pocket if I need to anyway. And those of you who've been on the channel for a while, you've seen the reviews of the Rafa stuff. I give the camera to Paul here, and then I just roll up to Joe. And on this day, I came with really good legs. So, you know, same schedule. Didn't change anything. I just got more mental and physical rest the week leading up to this ride. That's really all it is. You just got to monitor that. You got to have your structure. When your structure is in place, you don't wonder. You know when you're riding well what caused it. You know when you're not. You know what caused it. You know. And so I've got the knee warmers I got from Rafa a while back. They're merino wool knee warmers. I like them because you put them on and you don't feel them. They're not very tight like Lycra, but they keep you warm. So I really like the feel. There's more on the side there. Mo's waiting on us. So Mo's group usually meets in this area. There's more on the right in the black and green. Mo has a lot of class as far as cycling is concerned, and just in general, the way he conducts himself, he's just a joy to be around. He accommodates everybody, you know, just a very, very pleasant individual. His palmares are pretty big. He's from Italy and he's ridden with the best. I'll leave it at that. And he's a great ambassador for the sport. He really helps the weaker riders. You know, he doesn't look down on anybody. He's just very nice to see. He rides up to the guys that were crossing the road that we pointed out with Jerry. They're up there. Those are the guys that were riding to his ride start. Mo has his own ride that starts up here where the light is on the right. This shopping center that you're looking at on the right, in the far right corner, there's a wine tasting business there. That's where they meet. And that's probably where he was coming from. He just rode through the whole parking lot. But that's where they meet. So we have a lot of options out here. If one group's not riding, let's say they're going somewhere to a ride, we can always hook up with somebody else. That gives us a lot of flexibility. That's always good to have.
I was tired of getting my bike.
It's the first time I've met Joe. We've been communicating through the channel by email, so it was just kind of cool to ride with him. We got a chance to chat, you know. We talked about, you know, while he was down here, what's going on with his daughter who's going to college. You know, it's kind of cool.
I gotta get the size of this one.
It's a very windy morning, and we end up having a lot of challenges with the gimbal on this stretch, and you will see we get a lot of Dutch angle shots. And Paul comes and he tells me about it, and I just told him, you know, do the best you can, just kind of hang on to it, because I just don't want us to forget about riding and pay too much attention to fussing with that thing. The wind adds a lot of weight to the calibration, and the gimbal freaks out when the wind is hitting it too much. That's what's going on. Well, you know, we managed it and got it sorted. I did a lot of filming myself on this ride, so relieved Paul a bit. That was kind of cool. So that's Jerry in the middle there, Victor on the left, and Maurice on the right. So the A team is here today. This is Mike in a light green jacket here. I think I'm up the road. I think I'm in the pace line. Yeah, I'm up there. We're riding up to the guys that Jerry crossed the road with that did not wait like Jerry did. They're up ahead just slightly. You'll see them clearly in a bit. You can see some of the lights. So yeah, I'm right in front of Joe, and that's Alan right in front of Victor to the right there in the team kit. You can see Mike's jacket. It's kind of ballooning out. That's the kind of wind we're dealing with this morning. I've got it dubbed down a bit so you can hear the conversation. That's Dan on the right next to Mike. You can see how close they're riding side by side. Dan is on the shoulder. It's a small shoulder. Mike's close to the white line. You should be able to ride like that. You can see how little of the road we're using, even though we're riding two abreast. Well, they're riding two abreast here. We're in a single file up there. Even though we're in single file, I'm more to the left. You can see Joe's there as well. I'm staying to the left because the shoulder has a lot of little pebbles, and I'd much rather just use the lane. We're just using a piece of it anyway, and there's two lanes and the road is not that busy. Right around here, Paul spins the camera around to help with the calibration. He didn't quite do a 360. A 360 helps it better, but you can see it readjusts. Been fighting the wind. You can see Mike's jacket all puffy. The wind's going through it. He's probably got it a little zipped down. We slowed down for that license. It's a dead-end road, and part of the group had gone through, so we all just rolled through. I'm up the road there where you see the flashing light. That's Mo behind me, and that's Alan just got behind Mo up there. And these guys are hanging back here. This is what I talk about. There's a gap. They're going to have to work to close that gap. Now there he goes. Rudy goes. So if you're going to ride in a group, keep the gaps to a minimum, because you're just creating something more work for you. So Jerry and Maurice is chatting back here. I don't like to sit behind riders that are chatting like this if they're leaving a huge gap. I go around them, because you end up just wasting your energy. Because then what they'll do is, when the group up front starts riding hard, they'll have to ride really hard to close that gap. Pretty close to like a maximal effort. Because we're moving up there. You can see 37 kilometers an hour. Now they're trying to close the gap. You see Jerry put himself down, and now he had to work hard to close that gap. Now he's left the gap to the people who are following him. So don't leave gaps. Go around those that do. Let them sit on the back and chat. You go ahead and stay in the draft, especially when the group is going fast, and save your energy. Because they're having to work here. And they're working against the wind with no benefit of the draft. Now they've bridged up. The two guys you see up there are the guys that were riding with Jerry that didn't stop when he stopped for us. They're part of Mo's group, and we'll eventually ride up to them. They're not that far off the front, but they were ahead the whole time. You can see the speeds are picked up. Once the speeds get this high, you want to stay close, so you don't expend any unnecessary energy. You can see the speeds are high. I'm in zone 2 because I'm in the draft up there. I'm not leaving any gaps. And since it's early in the ride, I'm keeping my cadence high. This is where the camera's having challenges, is doing a Dutch angle here. What I usually do is I spin it 360 completely around, and that settles it. But the wind was just causing it to try to recalibrate all the time. So there I am on the right. There's Mo on the right here. This is Joe right here. We're going down this overpass, this bridge. This is Lake Creek. I left this in so you guys will see what I'm riding. I'm in a 5315, I figured. And we just went down the overpass. By keeping my gears high on the downhill, I was not spinning too much. And I think I'm talking to Paul about it. I think this is where he tells me about the camera causing problems. And I think I tell him, just, do the best you can right now, because we really can't stop to mess with it. And when we did get a red light, by the time we got there, the light changed right away. So we really didn't have the chance. When I had this frame built, the builder asked me what tires I was running, and I told him I would do 25 millimeters. So when I got the frame, I started putting 28s on there. So the clearances are very tight. It works, but they're close. So if I do get a frame built in the future, I will set it up to handle 28s up to like a 32 as well, just to have the room. it's not the frame that is the only impact. It's also where the brake calipers are placed. I prefer the conventional brakes because they require less maintenance and less fiddling. I think this is where he's telling me about the camera. I thought it was earlier, but I think this is where he's telling me. I told him, I said, I think I told him just do the best you can for now, because we're moving. This is a grade. It's like maybe 0.7. It's not going to register on the overlay, but this entire stretch we're going uphill and we're going into the wind. And what I do here is I keep my cadence in the 80s. You can hear the wind. I've got it dubbed down, but you hear it. It's blowing. I was dressed perfectly for this weather because the only thing I had to remove were my knee warmers in about maybe an hour and a half. I removed my knee warmers. Other than that, everything else I kept on. The arm warmers, the team kit arm warmers that we have, they're available on our website, of course, but it's made of something called thermal fleece. You can wear them up to 20 C, which is about 70 degrees. And it gives you so much range. So unless it's a very warm day, I put those arm warmers on and I don't have to worry about them. I really like that. I mean, it's not a big deal if you have to take them off, but I just like the range. You can see the gearing I'm riding. I believe I'm in a 16, like a 52-16. This bike has a 36-52. So 52-16 is what I'm riding. This light did not stay red very long. The Dutch angle gets corrected shortly. In a little while we end up, the pace ends up picking up pretty dramatically. We ride away from Paul, and then later on I found out that he had a flat. As we approached the overpass, somewhere around there he had a flat. That's Joe behind me there. When the light changed, there was a lot of hesitation in the group. People did not want to go through the light. You saw those guys go and then there was a gap. People are avoiding staying near the front at this point in the ride for whatever reason. I just wanted to make sure that we stayed close. That's why you saw me looking back when I got it through there, through the intersection. Victor's staying on the left because he's on his bars. And I'm letting Joe know these guys are slowing down. There's a lot of yo-yoing right now as people settle in. You get an idea of what Joe's riding. Joe's a light guy, but he gets up those hills. He doesn't need the watts per kilo that we do. So right there you can see we pulled away from Paul. Somewhere around here Paul has a flat. So we cut to where we're about to leave the store here. I had to go back for Paul because I didn't see him and I was concerned. I went back and turned out he had a flat. So he and I rode and caught up.
Then went back.
We took our gels. We're ready to roll. The group is heading out. Quite a few people are going back. We're not. We're gonna go west and go north. And so I'm telling them to hurry up because if you fall behind here, you got to work 3 times as hard. You can see me. I'm moving. Nothing's coming. I told them already, it's hard to catch those maniacs. And I mean maniacs in a good way. These are the kind of people I like to ride with because you get a workout. You can see I've removed my knee warmers. This is an hour 20 into the ride.
Yeah.
I was telling Paul that Mike was asking us a question as we were leaving, but he was just behind because he spent so much time in the store. I don't know what he was doing, and we couldn't really give him any information because we needed to hustle to come to these guys. You can see people going left over here. They're going back. I think that's Maurice over there, and I don't know who's behind him. But quite a few of them went back. But we had like almost 15 or more people here going out. We ended up doing 70 miles with this group. So you see Joe rode up while I was talking to Paul. This road goes up. It's probably almost 1%. I took out my my leg warmers, folded it up. It's in my left pocket. You can see how the kit looks a little white. As you stretch the material, it has more of a white. That's the lining on the inside that makes it look like that when the sun hits it. I stuck that in the pocket with my gels, and then I put the gel against my body so it's easier for me to grab. Everything requires some thought. So I just removed it. I removed it when I went back to get Paul. Check on Paul because I didn't see him. So yeah, this guy acts like we're invisible. You know, he just didn't realize there were that many of us because he came by us and then realized there's a bunch of riders in the way. We're turning right here. All he has to do is be a little patient. Greg cut through that parking lot. That's Greg's shot over there. And these roads, this is 149. We went south. In the other video, we're going away from Montgomery here. We're going north into the forest, a different way. We're not taking the way by the lake today. There are many of these roads. The forest is huge. It might as well be a town. They reserved a bunch of areas so people wouldn't clear the land. I think that's a great thing. Some people call it being progressive. I think it just makes sense. We need these trees. The temperatures out here are always less than where we live, where it's all paved. The trees really clean the air. We're very familiar with this area. Paul and I used to drive out here to do some of our rides. The ridges that you see on the right are very uncomfortable. You don't want to ride on those. They put them there so when traffic is leaving the road, it alerts the driver because the tires go over it. You don't want to ride on that. So we stay to the left of that. Some riders may ride on the right of that. We don't do that here because the right side is unpredictable. You don't know whether the width is consistent or not. I mean, you can do that if you had to, like if it's super busy. But right now, it's not that busy. So we'll ride until it ends because about 1 kilometer up the road, it ends and the shoulder is nice and smooth. So at this point in the ride, I've seen that Joe climbs really well. I jumped those little ripples so we can use the shoulder here. It's nice and smooth. I've seen that Joe climbs really well. He's a smaller guy than I am. I mean, he might be 150 or so, I'm guessing. But so he gets up the climbs with very little problems. He ends up going with Victor when we get in the forest. We don't have that part on film. And so that was kind of good to see. So Joe rode really well. It was great. So at this point, we're approaching West Montgomery Park. This road's going to continue to go up. The plan was to go, we're going to take Bailey Grove Road, where we got that racer dog that lives out there. We haven't seen him the last couple of times. We don't end up seeing him on this ride either. I don't know if he's moved or... But anyway, it's a beautiful road. There's a lot of risers on there, and they just come thick and fast. When we got out there, almost at the end, Paul let us go because he said the pace was just too hard. And so we ended up regrouping after we got to 149 because I wanted to make sure that he did not have another flat because he'd already had one. We wanted to make sure, so it all worked out. Everybody got their workout. On the return, there are a lot of attacks, and you will see that we got that on film. It's really nice to see. So it may seem sedate here, but it's not, because we're riding at 36 kilometers an hour in rolling terrain. And if you look at the camera, the road's going up. We're gaining elevation. It says 109 meters. We started much lower than that. This is the park we're going past. And right here, the road goes up. I keep my cadence between 80 to 95 when the road goes up. I don't spin excessively. I just keep them to where I can feel the gear, but I'm not laboring. Going a slight downhill here, and then it's going to curve. Basically leave a little more room between riders as the speed increases on the downhill. Just gives you a little bit of a buffer. See some people use the road just so the wind can slow them down. Right there in the yellow and red with the white helmet. The guy in front of Rudy, good rider. I believe he rides with Mo's group. I don't know his name. He was one of the guys that were up the road when we were riding. Early in the morning, they were riding with Jerry. They kept going when he stopped. So we got a good mix here. Ended up being a very, very challenging ride. Challenging and fun. You can see Joe's gearing. It looks like he's in probably, I'm guessing, 15 or 16. He's down the block. Not all the way. About 3/4 of the way. As the road starts to go up, you have to decide whether you stay in the same gear. What I do is I stay in the same gear and I stand over here. That just felt like something I wanted to do at that moment. You know, just to change how I've been riding. Because most of the riding I've been sitting and spinning up these climbs. There are times in the ride it just feels great to stand. Wind is constantly buffering between these trees. It's just swirling around, and so it's just blustery. Once you get these fronts, that's what we encounter. That's what you're hearing. So I spent a lot of time tweaking the volume on the wind because it was so much this Saturday. I got it to a level where it's easy to listen. Yeah, I do that. You don't have to do that, but I do that because they have these little ripples. They're just slightly raised, and if you stay on them too long, they're uncomfortable. Jerry's slowing down, so I go around Jerry. I'm not sure what he's doing, but he's drifting to the back. We're gonna be turning soon, I believe. I think Bailey Grove should be coming up probably slightly after this curve. Yeah, we're turning. You can see how when Paul went over, the camera twitched. He hit those little ripples on the white line. They put them on there to alert drivers. You can see them on the yellow line also. that's what I jump over. I just skip my bike real quickly. I don't want to roll over there any longer than I have to. That's why I do that. And this is Bailey Grove. And that little bump, when Paul hit those things, it made the angle on the camera change. I'm messing with Michael here because he keeps drifting back. So I told him, you're going backwards. You know, you're already at the back. Stay, you know, just ride. That's what we're laughing at. Not everybody can be the last in line. So, you know, you're in the pack. Sit in there. You get the same benefit. Now go ahead and ride up here. You can see how much acceleration I get. My legs are feeling good. I ride up just to make sure I don't have to work hard later. And one thing about this road that, you know, Paul and I already talked about it, you have to be really cautious riding with Mo and his group because they are just relentless. They hammer the road. They don't back off much. So you don't get much of a respite. The guy in the blue up there is part of Mo's group. All these guys, you know, they keep pressing on. So there's a part of the ride, I don't know if we get it on camera, they start to go up a 4% grade. I tried to bridge up to them, and then I realized, man, that's Jerry over there riding to the front, another one of the heavy hitters. So I try to bridge up, and then I get within maybe a car length, and they're just pressing really hard. So I decided to just hold it right there. Sure enough, it was a good move because I was able to catch them without expending any more energy. The wind's coming from the north, I believe, northwest. I think it's northwest, yeah. But I know it's from the north, mostly from the north. So we're heading west right now. And then we're gonna go north. I keep my cadence in the 80s. I'm riding a reasonably sized gear. Because this road continues to go up, I decided to use more of my muscular strength and not stress my aerobic system too much at this point. It's just around 10 C. It's like 50 Fahrenheit, 10 Celsius. See, this is what causes the camera to get out of calibration. All this bouncing, and if it hits anything, it throws it off. And you got to recalibrate it by spinning it around 360. That helps. Sometimes if you're holding it, I believe Paul is holding it upright at this point. I think you can tell by his shadow. And somehow it's touching the handlebars, and that really adds to, yeah, you see where he's holding it? He's got it upright, and you can see, look how it's angled. Look, you can see the shadow. So it's touching the handlebars and it's putting more weight on the motor. So the gimbal thinks it's carrying a heavier load. So it goes up here, press on. Most of this section I was riding a 5319 or a 5317. Got nice smooth pavement here. Probably should have recalibrated here. The pavement is nice and smooth now. We're going a little downhill. That's why you saw me overlap this guy. It goes downhill, it turns, and then it kicks up. And they do not back off. I don't know if this is where we lose Paul. I think somewhere around a situation similar like this. I think this is where we ride away from him. This is where they start to press on, and this is where I'm bridging up. You can see the group is separating and Joe's on my wheel. Joe had very little trouble on these climbs. And that's Alan getting up to Michael there. That's Rudy. I think this is where we ride away from Paul. It just gets really hard over here. I'm in the probably middle of zone 4 at this point. That's Greg's shot coming around Paul. I think he asked Paul if he was okay. I don't know this guy's name, but he rides with Mo's group. He has a camera under his saddle pointed to the side. I found out later in the ride. But right here, we ride away from Paul. We're almost towards 1097. So I cut to where I got the camera now. We've gone back and retrieved Paul. Paul fell off the pace. We went and got him. It's a little misty right here. It's going to clear up shortly. The sun's just hitting the lens at an angle. Right here starts to clear up. I'm filming. And Paul is at the front of the group. But once we caught up with him, went up to the front. He and Alan are up there. Both he and Alan had fallen off the pace. They were not riding together. Alan was between Paul and the group. So both of them are up there. I'm back here chatting with them.
That bad hurt, right, Rudy?
We're talking about good hurt versus bad hurt. Rudy says there's good hurt and bad hurt. That just stayed with me. I know exactly what he means. If you're instigating the pace, that's good hurt. When you're hanging on, that's bad hurt.
They're hollow, that's why. But they're strong.
So what happened is a rock flicked from my bike and my wheel and hit Mo's bike. And it was just loud. And Mo was saying these bikes are very loud. I told him, yeah, I said they're hollow, but they're strong. Mo has a Cervelo. I forgot the model. And a lot of guys in this group have Cervelos. I like the bike Rudy has. The top two looks almost like a conventional frame. I prefer conventional style frames. That's just me.
This is a good group today.
Look at the size of this group. We ended up doing 120, probably 110 kilometers. That's Jerry on the left there, stretching his legs, doing a big gear. Victor right there. Victor's always working on his what I call muscular endurance. Victor likes to do a lot of time trial and stuff. So when he comes out in the hills, he's working on strength. I don't know what we're laughing at.
Check that out.
And I just want to mention that back here it's a little easy because we're rolling downhill. Because all this talking that Mo is doing, I don't participate in it once we start climbing. But right here, there was a good point where rolling downhill, you're behind a big group. My heart rate is in zone 1, so yeah, we can talk. Because Mo can talk. When you're working hard, Mo wants to chat. It's like at that point, I don't want to talk. Mo has a high aerobic capacity. They'll be talking and they're at the front, like he and Kristen last week sit at the front, 2 abreast, chatting, and we're back there working, and they're talking at the front. So it's a whole different level. So right here, the road goes up. You notice I'm quiet. I'm focusing on right. I've got the camera in my right hand, and it's getting a good shot. I switch it around to my left. Mo decided to stay at the back. He said he was going to make sure anybody who was struggling would help him. That's what he did.
When you turned right, boys on the back were struggling. They wanted a break, and you never let up.
They were talking about on 2854 on this ride. Some people overextended themselves before we got there. When we got there, Mo kept going. He did not slow down or rest. He wasn't going that hard. He just kept steady. And he's explaining that it's good to ride with people that push you because that's what you need. can do it by yourself.
When you're by yourself, you decide when
There's a
you're
tree down here. I think they're thinning out the forest. They
killing
do
the
control
forest.
burn.
Probably
Doesn't
part
come
of the forest, you know, they
easily
cut
because
things
of all
out
the-
and burn them.
So I think this is where Mo starts to film. I think he'll take out his camera and start to talk, speak in Italian while he's filming the movie. I don't know if he's right. But he rides up to the front and he films and then goes to film. Maybe later on. I'll point it out later. So I got the camera in my left hand, and so I'm staying next to this white line to get a good view. I don't want to just film Rudy. Look at this train. It's a lot of cyclists. This is a big group. You hear the wind. Between the wind and the hills, it was a workout. I slept well on Saturday night. The kind of rides that you need. The effort has gone up. I'm approaching the sweet spot. So if you're ambitious and you're riding with a group like this, you want to be near the front so that you can be one of the guys driving the pace, because that makes you work even harder. Don't be content to sit in the back if you want to improve. Sit in the back and recover. Once you're recovered, get back up there and work. Very pleasant day. Now that's the guy who's been driving the pace. He's done. I don't know his name, but he rides with Mo's group. Pulled over to the left and we're rolling by. So because the group is big, he'll get a chance to recover. But the key is that don't sit there until you're dying, because what if when you pull off, the road goes up? That you might need to continue to work harder than you thought you would after pulling off. That looks like Alan getting on the road probably will slow down when he gets back. I'm on the road right here just so I can slow down. And then I move back. When I do that, I look behind first to make sure the main lane is clear. If you're going to ride the shoulder, you stay on the shoulder so drivers know what you're doing. And if you're going to change your position, you check. Make sure it's clear. Don't get complacent because you're riding around other cyclists and neglect being safe. You need to be even more safety conscious around the cyclists. Don't ride with riders who are risky, putting yourself at risk, and don't hesitate to let them know, hey, that's just not safe. And if they don't like what you're saying, then don't ride with them, because that just doesn't make any sense. We all need to focus on safety. There are some riders out there that are reckless with everything. It's always the outlier. Just be aware. The road goes up here. That gentleman just pulled off. He's still working. I think that's the guy with the camera on his side. You see those little ridges out there? I move over because there's a lot of gravel. Look at the gravel. I don't know where they come from. Maybe they poured them out when it was raining. When it hit. Maybe we had freeze, but we didn't really have that much of a freeze last, but that would have been last year. Yeah, there's no way. I don't know where they come from. A lot of gravel on the shoulders. sand up here that much. It doesn't freeze that frequently. I'm staying right next to the line on over. I get over to slow down, but I'm doing this so I can get this shot. I want you guys to see through the group. So when the group is moving like this, and it's kind of steady, the pace is not super hard, the terrain is flat, that's when you drink. You know, make sure you're ready. So when the road goes up, you're ready. You'll see riders go left and right. The reason is they don't want to ride their brakes. So they're going left to catch the wind. You see Victor coming there, you see that Victor, both Victor and Jerry moved over together pretty much. They want to catch the wind because they're going a little downhill. Now it starts to go up here a little bit. And we moved away from that guardrail. And you can see how close we're riding together. Even though you'll see two riders side by side, we're not using much of the roadway. We'll be staying on the left side of this just like I am. I stay to the left. The road's going up here, then the level. The hills are going to be coming now. I think everybody's aware of it. I moved back on the shoulder right there. These are the roads that Paul and I used to ride in the winter, so I'm very familiar with the hills. It doesn't change the fact that they're hard. But familiarity helps to say, okay, I'm going to keep my legs fresh here. You see, I'm kind of soft pedaling. Coasting. But you know something's coming. Come back! I'm letting that guy know car's back. Say it again. I think he's getting it. Close it up a little bit. Close it up. If the car, smaller obstacle to deal with, he gets in. The road's going up here a little bit. And it's gonna go down. Drivers out here are very good. They're used to us being out here. We ride out here a lot. And the reason we ride out here is double. I mean, twofold. The roads are challenging and they're safe. We got a shoulder on a lot of these roads, and we don't really get hassled out here. So it's just comfortable. I mean, not that if we did, we'd stop riding. I'm just saying everything just works for this area. It's the most challenging area to ride. And it's the most beautiful in the area because everywhere else is all paved up. You know, this is the national forest. You know, it's like it doesn't go to any major industry. So if you're driving out here, chances are you're out of sightseeing or chilling or whatever. Not rushing. This is the part of town they hold the Ironman. We have like an Ironman competition early in the year. The roads are part of the course. The guys do 100 miles on a bike. 162 kilometers. This is part of the course. It's area. We go all the way to Richards. You see Joe up there. Joe up there holding his own. The guy in front of Rudy that had been pulling. A little while down the road, he's going to go on the attack with Jerry. When Jerry takes off, we end up chasing them down. This guy in the blue jersey, I've got a jersey like that. That's a protein thermal jersey. I didn't wear mine because I like to wear it. It was 50 Fahrenheit, 10 Celsius or less. That's what works for my body. Once I start to ride, I heat up. Got a nice kid going today. He's got the Red Sox match the red in his jersey and the edge of his short there. So it picks out that color really good. The red and black on the socks. Nice contrast. Got the white arm cars are going over those ridges like they have on the white line here I was talking about, they have them on those double yellows. So when they go over them, that's what you're hearing. So even though we're on the shoulder, they give us a lot of room. There is an ordinance, well, I think it's in Harris County. I don't think it extends to Montgomery and Maine. A lot of people may not even be aware. You are required to give us 3 feet as you go by, which is about a meter. Pass a cyclist. This is where Mo is making a movie on his camera and he's speaking in Italian as he rides up to the front of the group like we're standing still.
Italian.
So he does his little short film, puts the camera away and gets to the front to take a pull. I thought he was going to take a pull. He actually ended up yapping us way up the road. That guy starts to ride up the Mo, then Mo comes back. Okay, he went up the road so he could film from the front. Mo pulled away so that guy could have room. When Mo's doing all of this, just be aware. He is very aware of the traffic on the road. He checks. I've watched him. He's not taking any chances. So he checks. He's always aware of what other road users are doing. As you can see, while he was doing this, no car came by. I wanted to stress that. It's really important. See that guy look behind. We all check. So all we want to do is ride our bikes. We're not out here to upset other people or take risks. This guy's been spending, give a thumbs up, he's been spending a lot of time at the front. I'm gonna get his name next time. Joe right there. Joe had no trouble with this pace. Joe, in fact, was going off the front with Victor. Letting this guy know there's car back, but he doesn't have any room. Thankfully, the driver gave him a lot of room, but he didn't have any room to get in the pack. I think Victor ends up letting him get in front of him. You'll probably see that. I believe this is what happened. Stating that from memory. I think Victor lets him in. I'm on the road here. There's no car coming, but we're going downhill. I don't think I'm even pedaling. Let's see. 93. I end up just rolling down just so I don't have to use my brakes. While I'm on the road, I always glance back to make sure there's no traffic. Some kind of cup. Somebody ended up running over. It's like a coffee cup somebody drank and just threw it on the side of the road. It would make too much sense to keep it in their cars until they get to a gas station or something when they dispose of the property. So right here, I think I tell Greg Shaw, I say, I'm not going faster. Yeah, that's what we're laughing at. I told him, I said, I'm not going faster. You guys are going slower. You can see I'm not even pedaling. I'm using the wind to slow me down. And he smiled. We laughed about it. And then Victor said, gravity. Us big boys, when we're going downhill, we go like a rock. I get back behind Victor here. This is where Victor lets this guy get in. I think this is where yeah, it's getting busy. Victor lets him get in. To the side there. Yeah. So the cameras, I'm basically holding it against the hood of my brake lever. It's basically like holding two pencils together. So this just holds this position, and I just ride. That's it. It's up against my lever. It's on my palm. I just reach my palm around it, and I hold that junction of my brake hoods. It just rests there. It's easy to do. We mostly keep it in our left hand. Get a better shot anyway. Plus, most of your shifting is the right side. I put this thing in this terrain. I put it in the big chamber. Forget about it. I got a 28 tooth cog on the back, so I can use the 25, 23 when it gets really steep. I think this is where we're coming to here, Bailey Road. There's Paul up there. Paul's up there. I think in 4th position. This guy just pulled off the front here. So he spent on this gentleman in black spent a lot of time off the front. Now he's all in black. It's a sunny day, so he's fairly visible, but at least he's got those white lines on the bottom on his the bottom of his calves there. But his bike is black. He's all in black. That's almost like a silhouette. But he picked the right day. If you're gonna do that on a sunny day, you stand a better chance. You don't want to do that when it's cloudy. Alan, that's Alan. He pulls off the front. He's gonna drift to the back. I think Paul will pull off a little bit too. Yeah, that's Paul. I think Paul's gonna pull off there. Yeah, Paul's getting off the front. The road's starting to go up. Both Alan and Paul are having challenges with this pace because the guys that we hooked up with kind of joined us. Were really pressing hard on Bethel Road. For this distance, they don't slow down, they just go further. You know, they don't say, oh, I'm going longer today, I'm going to slow down. No, they ride the same way, and they just do it longer. So it builds what we call high-speed endurance. Victor's hand's getting numb, his left hand. He's wiggling his finger. The road's going up here. In a little while, the attacks are going to start thick and fast. Michael pulls off the front there. The road going down and then it's going to curve to the right. We came on this road, I believe, last week for the ride what I dubbed winter training, and the same thing that happened last week is attempted here, but this time the chase was in earnest. Right here the road starts to go up. You can see how close I am to Victor. At this point, I'm revving because this is not the climb. This is like the appetizer. It's hard, but after this, well, there's a lull, and then there you go. Now Jerry goes. The guy in black who was pulling all that time goes with Jerry. I'm still just watching. I move over to get a shot. So they're right there. You guys who watched the video last week, this is around where this area where Greg Schott stood up and attacked out of the saddle. He was pulling at the front. Right here, this is a long climb, and I believe it goes in excess of 4%. Victor uses the road, and what I do is I stay right here. This guy moves to the right because he knows we're passing him. is having a bit of a problem on this corner. Victor powers. I keep my effort calm, knowing that I can do this all day. This is zone 4. I'm about probably 6 or 7 beats below my threshold, so I know I can do it. I just keep it there, and I can tell. I see Victor slowing down right there. Oh, he was slowing down because Greg was in the way. So as soon as Joe comes around me, I go ahead and just move over and get on Joe's wheel. So I'll go ahead and ride up to Joe here. I'm about 8 beats below my time trial pace. And as soon as I ride up here, I believe the effort will drop for me anyway. I think the road starts to flatten out a little bit. Now Jerry and that other guy in black are up the road. You can see them right where that car is. And this is unedited. There they are. We can see them. And all I'm monitoring is to see that Victor does not slow down. If he begins to slow down, I'm going to give him a wheel, and you'll see that happen. That's how you ride with people. By doing it this way, Victor is more apt to want to ride. But if you just attack somebody who's been pulling, then why should they work with you? Yeah, I rolled over the stuff, mess with the camera, and I end up rolling over the stuff. I hate those bumps. I'm right next to it. I'm actually not in the main lane. The camera's in my left hand. And you see those 2 guys up there trying to trade places. And we can see that they're losing their impetus. They're still working. But I'm just trying to get a feel. You can see my heart rate has dropped almost 9 beats or something like that. So I'm like, I need to give this guy a hand. I don't know if it's here or in the front. I think it's before the intersection, at the intersection. There's an intersection with 1097. What we call the western piece of 1097, FM 1097. Because if we're going to catch them, we need to go faster, and sometimes all it takes is for another rider to come to the front, give Victor. You can see they're right there. They're not that far. The camera makes it look further where those cars are. So all I want to do is make sure we don't lose our impetus. I think somewhere around here, I figure let me go to the front, edge it up. Right here. I tell Victor. Come on, Victor, and I just slide in front of him. I don't attack him. I just slide in front of him, and then I'll bump up the speed. You can see I went from 42 to 44. Nothing too drastic, because I want him to have a rhythm. Now 45. The guys, they're right there in that curve now, and we're pouring it on. And then Rudy goes like a bat out of hell. I just ignore him, because by this point we're doing 51 kilometers an hour. He's not gonna go any faster. And that's what I mean. So the thing is I was trying to give Victor a wheel. So right here, by giving Victor that wheel, you will see they're going to come around me. We're up the hill now. Victor comes around. And Joe's there. And then I just slip in. The 2 guys are right there. We're on them. Rudy never made it across. He would have been better served to work with us. But there were quite a few riders that were off. It was just 3 of us, I believe. Let's see, 4 of us. Rudy, myself, Victor. And I will turn the camera around and you will see there's still a gap to, there's a bunch of people back there. I don't know if it's here or not. I did a freeze frame. I think maybe at the next light. There are people off the pace back there. I think Paul Allen. The light changed over there. We start to go. right there. I don't know if those guys were with us at the light. I believe so, because it was a big group. I'm not sure why they're lagging behind. But Paul and Alan and them are still further back. So that was a nice, hard chase.
Everybody together? Everybody together?
That's Paul, okay.
Okay, yeah, let's go left. Let's go left.
So Paul and Alan are back. So we check for everybody. Now we're going to go left. So Mo must have pulled them down. So Mo had planned to stay at the back and shepherd everybody. Now you're gonna see here, Mo gets on that pickup truck. Watch this. Mo is drafting that pickup truck. He's in the draft. We're laughing about it. So don't try this at home. I mean, Mo is a very experienced rider.
Come on, guys.
He's semi-pro at this point, but he's ridden with the best in the world. You know, he's from Italy. I think I've mentioned on other videos. So if you're drafting a car, you need to know what you're doing. But Mo gained some ground over there. At return, I kind of spin the camera around. There's Rudy. Rudy likes being on camera. So, yeah. So it was a good chase, good workout. We go further, but we don't go slower. So that's how you build your endurance at a particular effort. You don't have to slow down because you go further, but you want to go further in smaller increments. Those of you who are familiar with the channel know that we've been doing these long rides for a long time.
Wrap it up. We got about 10-15%. Finish it up.
I give the camera here to Paul and proceed to ride up to Mo.
I said that's the problem. Right.
So when I handed it to Paul, he said that's the problem, because every time he's had the camera, it's messed up for him today. It's just been a challenge. Avoid the tendency to kill yourself. We've been going fast on that back road. You still have to realize this area here where we're going, it's a climb, and now we're going into the wind here because we're going east. So it must be blowing from northeast. And so you have to adjust your effort based on what the terrain gives you. You can't use, the fact that I was flying back that I need to fly here. No, because then you end up blowing. So I'm right here on sweet spot. Anybody who doesn't like it can come around me and go at their pace. It doesn't matter to me. But I know for a fact, this is a pace I can maintain very comfortably. And if somebody were to come and increase the speed, I'd be able to go with them. I'm up here by choice. That's the key. Mo's looking behind. And I don't know if we get it on film, but he ends up drafting a dump truck up here. I believe we do. Because those dump trucks take a while to get up to speed. But that's how he gets his workout in. So he was shepherding people at the back to the breakaway. Somebody said car back. That's why you see me on the far right of this little piece of the shoulder. I'm giving the guys following me enough room. When you ride like this, watch the edge of that where the pavement ends. Don't touch that edge. If you do touch the edge, go into the grass. Don't try to come back right away. That's when you can fall. Because the edge kind of slopes off. There's the truck. So Mo's going to get on him and get in his draft. Watch. And the truck will just pull him. And he's gone. I hope he's holding his breath because there's a lot of diesel. Rudy tries to go there, of course, and never makes it. I don't bother wasting my energy. That's Joe. Joe's riding up. It's Michael. Then I pick up the pace a little bit here. All I do is I pull up. We're climbing into the wind. So I focus on pulling up.
Yeah, look at him now.
So Rudy never made it. Now he's in no man's land. I'm not sure what we're talking about. Oh yeah, this guy in blue comes around. We ride the shoulder because it's just a courteous thing to do. I mean, we're a slower moving vehicle. It allows the cars to pass us easily. We don't ride the shoulder because the law says we have to be there. I know I may have said it for some of you that are on the channel, but for the new people that are just coming across this video, riding the shoulder just makes sense. If you were walking, you wouldn't walk in the middle of the street. It's the same theory. We're going slower, the shoulder's safe, we use it. If the shoulder is not safe, I'll be on the road. I'll be planted where the right tire of cars are. But it just makes sense when you have a nice shoulder, even though this one's narrow. I mean, we've been riding enough to where we can hold a straight line. But if your skills are not there, then use the road. You know, if you're not comfortable riding on a small edge of the shoulder like we are, use the road. The drivers will go around you. You have a right to use the road. You pay for it. All those sales taxes you pay when you buy stuff. That's what they use to build roads, at least in this state. And I think in most states. So you have a right to use the road. Don't fall for people who want to yell at you and throw things at you. That's verbal abuse, and that's verbal assault. Or if they throw something at you, that's an assault. Let the peace officers deal with that. Get their license plates, call it in. All it takes is one conversation to set those knuckleheads straight, because they don't know the laws of the land that they live in. Don't let that stop you. I'm referring to a comment somebody made on the channel about the last video that I loaded. Said we're blessed, or we're lucky that we use the road without people yelling at us. That's not luck. That's the way it's supposed to be. I don't know where these people grow up. You know, my parents taught me not to go around screaming at people. That's uncivilized. So, you know, and I'm passing that on to my kids. You know, don't be bothering people when you're out there. But I ride up to this guy here. You'll see after the credits here, we approach the intersection at 105 and go ahead and we end the filming here. So don't be wasting your energy. I mean, they did all of that. We're all here, and more intentionally waited for us because that diesel truck pulled him quite a bit, and he's getting his workout in because he's a lot faster than most of the people in this group. That guy taking off his jacket, he's warmed up. So I hope you all got a chance to get your K's in. Keep active. Get those doctors fired.